Change your heart, change your life, change the planet.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Van Orden, and I just finished a very long run, just about 7 miles in my big boots through slush and freezing rain and high winds and darkness. And it was one of those nights where I looked outside and didn't want to do the run. I had already run 4.5 miles in my big boots today in the snow up in the mountains of Woodford, and that was exhausting. And when I got back into town, I thought, okay, I got to get at least another 4 to 6 miles in. But I was cold, tired, and hungry, and when I got here to my studio, I just looked out the window and I saw the wind blowing the trees and the freezing rain was hitting my windshield, and I thought, maybe I'll do a mile or two on the treadmill. But even that did not sound all that appealing. So I did what I always do. I made sure that I was properly dressed, put a really good outer layer on that's waterproof, windproof. I got some glasses to protect my eyes from the freezing rain, which really stings when it hits your face. And put on my Home Depot cleaning gloves. These are gloves that you can get for like $6 for cleaning, and they're lined with like a fleecy. So they're super warm, waterproof and windproof, and they go up well over the wrist so you don't get any water blowing on your wrist as you go. And those guys keep me so toasty no matter the weather. And I always leave these gloves in the car and this jacket in the car just in case. I've got a stash of extra clothing for extreme weather that I always keep in the car with me. And I got it out and then got myself out. And it was tough going at first. The freezing rain was biting my face. The wind was blowing hard, pushing me backwards. It's all slush on the roads, and every time I stepped it would splash up. But I've got waterproof pants on too. And it was more annoying than anything else. So I just decided to run around the mill where my studio is, and that's almost half a mile just to run around the building. And when I was about finished, I thought, it's kind of nasty here. There's a lot of big potholes behind the mill, and they're full of water, and I can't see them because it's dark. So let's just go down the road a little bit. Maybe we'll go half a mile and turn around. We'll just get a mile in. And then as I went down the road, I turned up into a residential neighborhood and thought, well, maybe I'll go to the bottom of the hill. So I went a little further. If I cross this bridge, I can connect to the bike path. And then suddenly I'm on the bike path. If I go through the industrial park, there are no cars. There's no lights, which is kind of cool too. It's just city light bouncing off the clouds. It'll be all mine. So I did that. And part of my brain knows that if I go all the way to the end of the industrial park and back, it's 6 miles, but I didn't tell myself that. I just broke it down into small pieces. And 6 miles in heavy boots running through slush when you're already exhausted is brutal. So I just kept working my way through it. And at one point, as I was coming back, I only had a little over 2 miles to go, and this gust of wind just hit me, and it started driving me backwards. And I felt my mind want to make a story about it, to make a story about how horrible this was. And the moment I caught that, I paused, not my running, but I paused my thinking, and I just felt what was going on. I felt the wind and thought to myself, okay, there's wind, but is it making the run worse? No, it just means that I'm going slower. Okay, that's fine. How does it feel on my face? Well, it's about 32 degrees. It's hovering right around freezing. And so even with the wind chill, it's probably only 10 degrees, which isn't that bad. I'm dressed for 10 degrees. So, no, my cheeks are fine. My nose is fine. What else? How are your legs doing? They're tired, but yeah, they can take it. I can just keep plodding along like this. And suddenly a moment where I was about to make up this story about how horrible this is and I can't do it and I just want to quit, and maybe I should walk back. Maybe I should call somebody and have them come pick me up. Instead of doing that and making a story, I just did what I was doing. I put one foot in front of the other, calmly, doing my job. My job is to keep taking steps. That's it. It doesn't matter if it's windy. My job is still to take steps. It doesn't matter if it's raining. My job is to take steps. It doesn't matter if I'm tired. My job is to take steps. My job is not to run 6 miles, and it's definitely not to run 6 miles in the wind and rain, because that's a huge thought, gigantic thought that doesn't exist in real life. You can't run 6 miles in the rain and wind. You can have run, past tense, but you can't actually do it. The doing is about one step at a time. So you let go of time. You let go what you just did, and you let go of what you've got ahead of you, and you just deal with the moment that you're running in. And before you know it, I was having a really good time out there. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, because of the wind and rain, I didn't bring my phone and didn't have my earphones to listen to an audiobook. So normally I would listen to an audiobook, but I didn't want to risk ruining my phone. And I couldn't record notes with such high wind. So I was basically out there with my thoughts, running in the dark and the cold and the wind and the rain, tired and hungry and all that fun stuff. And it was great. In fact, it was so great that I decided to add a little kind of a horseshoe leg to it to make it 6.72 miles, which will add up to my 4.29 earlier today to make a total of 11 in my big boots. And that's a lot of running in these big boots because they are heavy. They're a couple pounds a piece. Plus my running shoes, which are the heaviest running shoes that I have. They're about 10 ounces each. And I'm wearing a lot of clothing. Heavy. So I'm pumped. Not so much that I did the run, not so much that I got the mileage, but that I allowed myself to do it and I allowed myself to actually enjoy it. And didn't make up a negative story about how horrible it is. It was actually a positive experience. But the guy an hour and a half ago sitting in the car looking out the window and saying, that's going to be terrible. I don't want to go out in that. It's going to suck. He was wrong. He's usually wrong. And it's up to me to prove him wrong. But not to rub it in his face. But just so that I can go out and live my life and enjoy it. All right. Well, it's after 8 o'clock now, and I still haven't eaten dinner, and I'm really hungry. So I'm going to go home and chow down. I love you guys. See ya.